In this video, I'll break down 10 plus music video effects for Final Cut Pro 10. Now, some of these effects are going to cost money, while some of these effects are completely free. The links are going to be down in the description below, so you can go ahead and purchase any of these effects. The links will be down below. The first effect I want to go over is this really cool, like, blurry RGB Dreamy Effect. So what you want to do is you want to select on your clip, and you just want to create a duplicate. You just want to place that duplicate on top of the original clip. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to add an adjustment layer on top of both of these two clips, and after you add that adjustment layer, what you're going to want to do is you want to go to the effects panel, and you're going to want to try to add the fisheye effect. Now, the fisheye effect is basically like lens distortion, so it's going to give a little bit of distortion to the clip, so it's going to make it look a little bit more dreamy. So just apply the fisheye effect onto the actual clip, and then just adjust the settings, so you can kind of just change the amount to like -3 and the radius to 0.3 or 0.4 or 0.5. This is of course completely up to you. Customize it to your liking, but it's going to give kind of that like lens distortion, warped edges effect. It's just going to overall help sell the effect a lot better. So simply just apply a fisheye effect onto the adjustment layer, which is on top of the copy clip and the original clip, and just adjust the settings until you get the look that you want. Then what you would do is I'm just going to disable the bottom clip so you kind of see what's happening. You're just going to add a shape mask onto the copy clip, so it's kind of the middle clip, and the shape mask you're just going to cut around where you want the kind of the clip to be in focus. So everything in that black area is going to be blurry, so you're just trying to figure out where you want it, what you want to be in focus in the shot. You can go ahead and track the shape mask if you want to, or just keep it in like one spot. It's completely up to you. So you just adjust the radius, adjust the center, adjust the curvature, and you're basically just going through and adjusting the settings until you get the look that you want. And that's basically everything that's going to be in focus of the shot. So let's just disable it, and then I'm going to enable the bottom clip. And this clip I'll be adding the like blur effects or the RGB effect. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a prism effect to the bottom clip to kind of give it that really nice RGB effect. So just apply the prism effect and then adjust the amount and adjust the angle, of course, until you get the look that you want. It's completely dependent on what you want to do. Then you want to do is you want to add a zoom blur, so it's going to give that really cool nice zoom blur effect, and you go ahead and just going to adjust the settings, adjust the amount. Everything like that is completely dependent on you, and now you just got this really nice blurry effect. Of course, you can center it up if you want to get the look that you want, but there you go, you have this really nice blurry effect. Now if we enable the shape mask layer, you can see there we go, the edges are blurred, but the center shot is still in focus. The next effect I want to go over is this really cool like blur effect. Now you probably want to apply this effect onto like a beat hit. So what you're going to do is you're going to take an adjustment layer and just going to place it on top of wherever you want the effect to happen, and that little like yellow marker is basically where the beat would be. So you go 3 frames like before that yellow marker and 3 frames after the marker, just to be able to kind of like keyframe the blur amount. So what I'm going to do in this case is we're just going to the effects panel, and we're going to add a radial blur. You could add a zoom blur, a directional blur, whatever you want. You're just simply going to apply the blur onto the adjustment layer. Now go to the beginning and then change the amount to 0, and then go forward 3 or 4 frames, however long you want it, and then turn the amount all the way up, obviously as high as you want. And then basically what you do is you want to go forward like 3 or 4 more frames, and then reset the keyframe to 0, just so it kind of creates that really cool animation. Now once you have the blur effect keyframe, it's just simply going to animate and create this really cool like animated radial blur effect, and it's just going to look really cool. So there you go, just kind of go frame by frame, just get a general idea of how the effect is going to look. Now of course you can go to the middle and just basically adjust the position or the center point of where you want the radial blur to happen. Obviously that's depending on what you want to do, and there you go, you have a really nice blur effect. Now of course what you want to do too is you could also add a little bit of like scale in animation to the actual clip. So instead of just having like a blur effect, the clip itself scales in. So all you would do is you should keyframe the scale and just simply that scale up to as many frames as you want, and just simply animating the scale, keyframing the scale, you have this really cool like zoom in effect. So it kind of slowly zooms in and then also creates a blur effect. So this effect looks really good, as you can see in the example on a beat hit. It's just a great way to give a lot of energy to your video, and there you go, simply as that, you have a really cool like blur beat hit effect in Final Cut. The next effect I'm going to go over is this really cool outline effect. Now you're going to have to use a plugin from my digital store, which is just the stroke effect, which is going to create that nice like outline. So what you do is you want to take the clip and obviously place the markers however the spacing however you want it, and you're just going to create a copy of the clip and make sure all the markers line up. Now in this case, I had the markers like every 3 frames, so it's kind of like the outline effect is going to change every 3 frames. Obviously, if I redid this effect, I might change it to like 2 frames. I think 3 frames might be a little bit longer, but however many frames you have, it's just going to be how slow the animation is. So in this case, I did like every 3 frames. If you did every 2 frames, the animation is going to go a lot faster. So that's completely up to you. So what you would do is you just apply a draw mask onto the copy clip, and now what you're going to do is you're just going to draw around or outline the subject, and basically simply is that this, take as much time as you want with this, make it really precise, make it look really good. It's completely dependent on what you want to do, but simply take the draw mask on the copy clip and you're just going to create an outline of the effect, and obviously wherever you have the outline is going to be where the stroke effect is. So simply just apply a draw mask onto the clip, and there you go. You are pretty much kind of step 1 or step 2, however you look at it, and there you go. As you can see, that's what's going to look like without the bottom clip, and then basically you see that's where the stroke effect is. So what you would do is go to the effects panel and you're just going to apply the stroke effect onto the copy clip. So apply, and there you go. As you can see, this really nice stroke outline effect, and of course adjust the width, adjust the color. It's obviously completely dependent on what you want to do. In this case, I'm just going to crank it up to a higher number. I would encourage you to probably go a little bit higher than too small of a number, or else it's not really going to be noticeable. And of course, you go through and change the color. Once you have the color changed, now what you want to do is just click on the clip right there, and all you're going to do is you're just going to copy the effect, so the draw mask and the stroke effect. So just simply click on, as you see, the commands, the keyboard shortcuts are up on screen. So all I'm doing is I'm copying the stroke effect and the draw mask to the other 2 clips. Instead of having to redo the draw mask and redo the stroke effect, you can just simply copy and paste the effects to all the copied clips. Now what you want to do is you want to select in the clip, and you want to have it to the draw mask, and you want to go to transform. You just want to increase the scale. So every single frame, every single time a new clip appears, you want to just increase the scale so it looks like it's kind of like stop motion kind of scaling up. So as you see, if I go frame by frame, there we go. You're just basically adjusting the scale of the draw mask, and as you can see, there you go, this really cool stop motion outline effect, which I think is a really cool effect. And it's not always going to be used in every clip. I think it's definitely a really cool effect. Obviously, I'd probably pick very still shots, so where the subject isn't moving too much. It can just be a cool effect to add a little bit of energy and dynamicness to your actual clip. And there you go. As you can see, that's what it looks like with the bottom clip. And then once you apply the bottom clip, it looks really cool. So take that bottom clip away, it doesn't look that cool, but when you apply the bottom clip, it's a really cool effect. Now if you want to add that glow effect, what you want to do is you just want to nest or group the copy clips together, and all you're going to do once you have them all grouped together, this is just a lot easier doing it this way, is you just go ahead and create a copy. So you're going to create a copy of that compound clip where the stroke effect is, and all you have to do is just go to the effects panel and apply the neon effect, and the neon effect is just going to add some glow to the actual stroke effect. And then as you can see right there, you can just adjust the settings of the neon effect, and there you go. You have a really cool glowing outline effect in Final Cut. The next effect I want to go over is this really cool pop-up freeze frame effect. So what you want to do is you just want to create a copy of the clip, and in this case I just went 5 frames forward. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure those markers line up, and all you're doing is you're creating a freeze frame. So you're just freezing the frame, you're just freezing the frame at the point of that marker. So you want to make sure when you create a copy, the markers line up, and all I simply did was I just froze that frame, where that marker is, because that's where I want the effect to start happening. So in this case, I just went forward 5 frames, and that's where I wanted the effect to start happening. So you can see these 2 frames are exactly the same. The only difference is that copy clip on top is just, you can see right there, a freeze frame. So just simply find the place where you want the effect to start, and then just create a copy and then just freeze at that point, and that's where you're going to have the effect start. Now in this case, the freeze frame, I set it at 20 frames. This can be, depends on how long you want the effect to happen. And all you're going to do is you're going to take a draw mask and you're going to apply it onto the freeze frame layer, and you're just going to cut out what you actually want to have pop out. In this case, we want that logo on his shoe to pop out, so I'd probably pick a clip with a logo, or maybe you're doing sports with a jersey number. You want to find something that's really easy, a shape that's really easy to cut out. In this case, it's just a logo on a shoe. Simply take the draw mask and then just cut out that object. Once you have that object cut out, as you can see, it just freezes on the screen and then just goes back into place. So that's what it looks like when you don't have the actual object tracked to the actual shoe. So that's what it looks like. You just simply cut out the logo of the shoe, and that's just basically what it looks like when you don't have it tracked. So what you want to do is you want to select on the bottom clip, just disable the top clip, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go to tracker, and we're just going to add a object tracker onto the bottom clip. Now what we're going to do is we're going to track that logo, or do the best we can. It's not going to probably always look perfect, but we're going to do the bottom clip is we're going to add an object tracker, and we're going to track that logo, because when we want that top layer, when it comes, scales out and animates a position and scale, we want it tracked to that area, that logo, so it looks like the logo is popping out. So just simply adjust the settings of the object tracker until you get the look that you want, and then just click on analyze, and the Final Cut is going to do its best to track and manually track that, or track that logo, so that when we have it scaling out, it stays tracked on, so it creates this really cool kind of trippy illusion. So simply just add an object tracker and track that bottom clip. Now we're going to go ahead and just enable the top clip, which is the freeze frame. Go to the transform tool, go over to tracker, the drop down arrow, and then just click on object track. That's the object track we just tracked on that logo. So now that logo, because we linked the tracker, we linked that freeze frame with the tracker. Now when we animate the scale, so we'll just place a keyframe on position and scale. We're gonna go forward 9 frames, and we'll just set the scale to whatever we want, so 150, 160, 170. It's completely dependent on what you want to do. I would probably go 150, 200, just depends on what you want to do. And then we're just going to animate the position. We're going to go forward 1 frame and place a new set of keyframes. That way it stays on the screen. And then we'll go to the end, and we're just going to reset these scale animation. And what you want to do is you want to go to the beginning of the clip, kind of see where the position was, and then go to the end and try to match that number up, or just do your best to kind of match the position up. So just simply, you can also go back 1 frame to just kind of get a better idea of where you want to kind of line up. And then if we play the clip, it's just going to kind of scale out, but this time it's going to stay tracked to the actual shoe, so it creates this really cool illusion. As you can see, it just simply pops up, and it's really cool. It pops up, but it looks like it stays tracked onto the original clip, so it just creates this really cool kind of trippy illusion. We see if I go frame by frame, that is what the effect looks like. So as you can see, you have this really cool effect, and obviously you want to add some motion blur onto it too. But if you want to add a really cool glow effect, what you would do is you want to create a copy of that freeze frame layer. So it's going to create a copy of the freeze frame layer, and then we're going to add this really cool glowing outline. Now this glowing outline preset is from my digital store. Quick note, this is not a plugin, this is a preset, but if you buy this from the store, this glowing outline, you can apply it onto the bottom clip, and now you have this really cool glowing outline. Now if you want to kind of animating on, add the clock transition at the beginning of that, the layer where the glowing animation is, and it'll kind of animate on almost like a clock, so you can see kind of going frame by frame. It kind of slowly animates on. It's not super cool, but it's definitely just a really interesting look. And there you go, it kind of animates on, so it gives a little more life to the actual animation. And there you go, it kind of pops up, but also has this really cool glowing, kind of saberish effect. Now of course, anytime you're doing a freeze frame animation or any kind of animation, just simply apply motion blur on top of wherever that animation is happening. Now I got mine free from Ryan Nagel, but it's really important anytime you're doing any kind of freeze frame or any kind of animations, add motion blur onto that area. It will just add some blur and make it look a lot nicer. The next effect I want to go over is this really cool stop motion paper effect. So as you can see, that is what that clip looks like, just at normal speed. But if you add this really cool strobe effect, which is for sale, which is just the stop motion effect on my digital store, it's going to give the clip a little more of a stop motion feel. So you see that was the before the clip, and now here's after. As you can see, it gives the clip a stop motion feel, so kind of like that posterized time effect in Premiere Pro. It's for sale on my digital store. It just gives the clip overall more stop motion feel, so you could obviously do this effect or low shutter. It's for sale on my website. Now these paper effects are from Brian Dalmata. So in this case, we're just going to apply a paper effect on, and we're just going to change the blend mode to screen, so it gives that really nice paper effect. Just place it on top of the clip, and then you can go over here and add a color board and or add some color curves to just change the look of it. These paper effects are from Brian Dalmata. As you can see, I set up markers. Now those markers are every time the frame changes, and that's really important. So you want to create different markers. In this case, this section, this next sequence, we're just going to blade this clip. So you can see I placed the markers every time the frame changes right there. So I just have markers I went through and just placed markers every time the frame changes. And then to every single frame, you can do different things. You got a paper effect, a paper background, whatever you want. In this case, we're going to apply a paper effect. But before we do that, we're just going to create a copy. And we're going to have this really cool paper background, but also the clip is also going to be inside this paper border. So you simply want to apply the paper border on top of the clip. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and change the blend mode, this layer, to stencil alpha. Now once you change that blend mode to stencil alpha, as you can see, it kind of fits in the paper overlay. You want to create a copy of the paper overlay and then change that top one to blend mode set to screen. So that top one is, the blend mode is set to screen, and then so the top one is set to screen, as you can see right there, the blend mode set to screen. The middle one is set to stencil alpha, and then the bottom clip is just the actual clip itself. And you go ahead and create a compound clip. You want to create a compound clip or else you won't be able to see the background. So there we go. Now you can actually see the background. As you can see, you can also double click or open up the compound clips. You can see you can just adjust the scale, but as you see, the clip isn't completely covering up the paper overlay. So just double click, open up the compound clip right there, and then just click on the clip and just adjust the scale. So you can see, there we go. We just kind of adjust the scale so that way it fit inside that paper border, and of course adjust the settings, and then just kind of repeat those steps to create that really cool effect you saw in the intro. The next effect I want to go over is this really cool light sweep effect. Now before, I made this plugin, it really was only possible to do this effect in Apple Motion, but if you go in my digital store, you'll go ahead and purchase this effect, which is just going to give you your image or text or photo, whatever. This really cool, as you can see, this really nice light sweep effect. Now, as you can see in the published parameters over there, there are a lot of settings. You can go through and change the blend mode. You can change it to add. You can adjust the size of it, and you can also kind of change the colors. As you can see, it gives you a lot of customizations. And you buy this plugin, you get this really clean light sweep effect. And obviously it looks like a really cool effect. Now you can do it in Final Cut. You don't need After Effects to create this really cool light sweep effect. The next effect I want to go over is this really cool blur transition. So what you want to do is you want to place the last 10 frames and the first 10 frames of the two clips kind of like overlapping on top of each other. Now what you're going to do in the top clip is just going to keyframe the opacity for the last 10 frames so the clip kind of like slowly fades off, or kind of like fades out. So you're just going to keyframe the opacity of the top clip. Now what you're going to do is you're going to add a directional blur on top of that top clip, and again it'll just be keyframed for the last 10 frames, and then change the amount to 0 and just keyframe it all the way to the end to 300. So it's going to kind of like slowly fade out while also creating this really cool like zoom effect. So it'll just be like a really clean transition. As you can see, kind of fades out, and then also creates this really cool blur effect. That'll also, to make this effect look really cool, you could add directional blur onto the second clip, and you want to have it start at 300 and then keyframe back down to 0. So go to the end, then keyframe to 0, and you do this really cool kind of like blur transition, and completely for free. There's no presets or plugins. The next effect I'm gonna go over is this really cool soft focused glow effect. Now you're going to have to download the soft focus effect from my digital store, but first you want to apply a glow effect. Now this comes natively in Final Cut. Now you're going to have to download the soft focus effect or soft blur effect from my digital store. So simply download the soft focus effect and then just adjust the settings. As you can see, it creates this really cool dreamy haze look. So it's just overall a really cool effect. It doesn't really come with Final Cut. You're going to have to download the plugin, and there you go. Obviously if you turn on the glow, that's what it looks like, but adding the glow, I think it just adds a lot more to it and gives it more that dreamy haze look, kind of like that pro mist filter look. I just really like this look. The next effect I'm going to go over is this really cool VHS effect. Now this is from Acid Byte. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the scan line overlay on top of the clips to give it more that kind of like CRT VHS look. So simply apply the scan lines overlay on top of both of the clips. Now what you want to do is you want to add this really cool VHS effect. Now I think it comes with maybe like 15 or 20 VHS looks. Now this is from Acid Byte, so just the link will be down in the description below. So apply the VHS texture on top of both the clips. In this case, we're going to change the blend mode to color dodge. You could change it to screen or difference or whatever you want. Just simply place it on top of the clips and then simply adjust the blend mode. Then we're going to add this really nice kind of like film matte kind of like overlay on top of the clips, and then just simply click on the actual overlay itself. In this case, we're going to change the blend mode to multiply, and there you go. You have this really cool VHS look on top of your clip. Now this is from Acid Byte, and there you go. Just simply adjust the blend modes, and there you go. You have a really nice vintage CRT like VHS effect. The next effects we're going to go over are these really cool free effects from Acid Byte. Now if you go to their website, you can kind of download these free effects, and you can see on screen here are all the effects that you're going to get, or at least at the time of this this recording. So you just have all these really cool effects. So if you're on a really tight budget and you don't want to spend a lot of money or spend money at all, you can simply download these free plugins or free like overlays and assets from Acidbyte. Now at the time of this recording, this is possible to do this. I don't know in the future if they'll change this at all, but if you're watching this right now, I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and go to their website and get these free assets, because again, I'm not sure how long this is going to last, or whether they'll keep doing this, but right now head over to Acidbyte and download these really cool assets. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you enjoy these types of videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check out my digital store where I sell Final Cut Pro 10 presets, plugins, and overlays, so definitely go ahead and check that out. Anyways, I will see you in the next one. Peace.